It started with smoke, thick, black, suffocating. Then came the silence, the kind of silence that follows a scream too loud to process. Flight AI-171, a standard route from Ahmedabad to Mumbai, was never supposed to make headlines. But fate had other plans. Moments after takeoff, just minutes into the sky, the plane began to fall. Witnesses said they saw fire erupting from the wing. Others claimed they heard a loud crack. And then it was over. The plane crashed into the outskirts of a quiet farming village. Houses trembled. Children ran barefoot into fields. And the fire, it swallowed everything. 243 passengers. Gone. Families waiting at the airport were met not with smiles, but with announcements they couldn't understand, or refused to. News outlets were scrambling. Live feeds cut in and out. Chaos was everywhere. But amid it all, something unexpected happened. A single message appeared on X, formerly known as Twitter. Heartbroken by the tragedy in Ahmedabad. If Starlink can be of service, whether to reconnect families or assist rescue, we'll send as many terminals as needed. Just say the word. It was Elon Musk. In a sea of politicians offering condolences and reporters searching for blame, this post hit different. It wasn't ceremonial. It was a hand extended through the screen. And while most people read it and moved on, emergency officials in Gujarat did not. By sundown, cargo aircraft landed quietly near the city. On board were hundreds of Starlink unit satellite-powered internet terminals that didn't need towers, didn't need wires, just sky. At first, they seemed out of place among the rubble, high-tech in a disaster zone. But then something happened. A hospital's communications came back online. Ambulances began rerouting more efficiently. And in one overcrowded triage center, a nurse managed to FaceTime a burn specialist 2 cities away. Her voice cracked. "We've got signal. We've got help." A little girl no older than 10 sat on a dusty blanket outside a crumbling shelter. She clutched a photo of her mother, who had been on flight AI-171. The child hadn't spoken since the crash. She hadn't cried, hadn't asked questions. She just sat. A volunteer knelt beside her and gently handed her a phone, connected to the new Starlink dish humming nearby. "Would you like to try calling her?" he asked. She didn't answer, but she took the phone. She pressed the call button. It rang once, then twice. Then a shaky voice answered. "Hello?" The girl's eyes widened. "Mama?" Her mother had missed the flight. She'd been delayed at the airport and wasn't on board. But no one had been able to confirm anything, until now. The child collapsed into tears, clutching the phone, whispering over and over, "I thought you were gone." Word spread fast. The Starlink terminals weren't just restoring communications. They were restoring hope. Families separated by distance and disaster were hearing each other again. Hospitals were live-streaming scans to specialists across the country. Relief teams were coordinating through video chat instead of shouts. And in the middle of it all, Elon Musk joined a private call with Gujarat's emergency coordination team. He didn't open with pleasantries. No speeches. Just a quiet offer. "We'll keep the satellites overhead for as long as they're needed, whatever it takes." One exhausted doctor, his voice raw from shouting all day, looked into the screen and said, "We haven't slept in 30 hours. But for the first time, we feel like we're not alone." Elsewhere, a pilot's brother received a WhatsApp call through Starlink. The pilot had survived, hospitalized in Pune. No phone signal reached him there, except this one. The brother cried out, "You're alive?" The reply, barely, but yes. "And you gave me the strength to hold on." No news channel captured this moment, but thousands like it happened in the shadows of tragedy. In burned-out villages and dark tents, lights came back, not from bulbs, but from connection. As the country mourned, headlines shifted from tragedy to blame. Investigations began. Some claimed maintenance failure. Others whispered of sabotage. Black boxes were recovered, engines analyzed. And while experts debated in studios, a different narrative was unfolding on the ground. In villages far from the epicenter, Starlink dishes were still glowing. Because for many of the passengers, home wasn't Ahmedabad or Mumbai. It was smaller towns, isolated communities, places where cellular towers had never existed. But now, thanks to the satellite signal, families were watching memorial services live-streamed. Priests were performing digital last rites with relatives joining over video from abroad. A grandmother in Bhavnagar, too frail to travel, watched her son's funeral from a tablet in her lap, tears soaking her palms. Elon didn't make another big announcement. He didn't post a selfie, but his team quietly expanded coverage. More dishes, more tech, more silence filled with signal. Still, there were those who criticized. Social media flared up with accusations. Billionaire PR stunt, disaster opportunism. But in the dust, a nurse with blistered feet responded to those posts with a photo. Her patients smiling through tubes, their families visible on screens. She wrote, "He didn't bring coffins. He brought connection." Later that week, in a candlelight memorial held near the crash site, the victims' names were read aloud. Each name echoed into the night, and with every 10 names, a Starlink terminal blinked green in their memory. Elon Musk joined via satellite. His face appeared on a projection screen. No background music, no fanfare. "We dream of Mars," he said, "but we still lose people right here on Earth. If we can't reach for one another when the sky falls, then we don't deserve the stars." This wasn't a donation. This was duty. And then silence. No applause. Just a moment of stillness. One child stood up and placed a paper airplane on the ground beneath the screen. It read, "For the ones who didn't land." The signal remained live for 3 more weeks. Then one day, quietly, the dishes were packed up. But the impact wasn't forgotten. Because sometimes the greatest thing technology can offer isn't speed or profit. It's presence. When all else breaks, connection endures.